thank you all for coming. So I'm just going to introduce my guest speaker. Her name is Marielle Kaplan. She is the Assistant Food and Beverage Director at Aspire Seasonal Kitchen here in Hotel Providence. She grew up in Narragansett, Rhode Island, where she further moved to Cranston, and she attended Cranston High School. During her undergrad years at URI, she was studying political science, where she realized this wasn't the best fit for her. So she decided to pursue her career in the restaurant and hospitality industry. Her first job was in January 2010, where she worked at Greg's Restaurant and Pubs, and she started as a server. At Greg's, she received outstanding and first-rate training, and she was taught the fundamentals of excellence in the field. From here, she expanded her knowledge and her experience when she received an opportunity to open up a bar slash restaurant in East Providence, and she gained her inside perspective on what it was like to build a business from the inside, from the ground up, and what it required. So she used this involvement as her motivation to search for her new job, which she currently does here at Aspire Seasonal Kitchen, and she joined here in November 2012. So she started as a server. 7 months in, she was recognized for her hard work and her dedication, and she became the head server. She was still a server, but she was more in charge of the servers. Any questions would go to Marielle, and the managers could work behind the office and do a lot of the office work, and Marielle took care of all the servers, and any questions or concerns that they would have, everyone would go to Marielle. January 2014, she was offered a position as a supervisor, and her roles grew even more. She was taken off the floor and worked in all aspects of the restaurant now. She was controlling supply, inventory. She kept up with the staff's hiring, training, and managing of the staff. 3 months later, she was once again recognized for her great work ethic and remarkable work. She was promoted to the higher position that she takes on today, which is the food and beverage manager. She works on employee payroll, scheduling, inventory, liquor ordering. She leads servers and bussers, trains new employees, and she guarantees all the paperwork is completed. All of this happens behind the scenes, but it's what makes every night very successful and effective. So being the versatile, intelligent, and vigorous worker she is, she has helped Aspire really help grow within the past year. And this is definitely shown in our liquor sales, more popularity, our revenue, and her immense desire to grow has shaped her into the credible manager she is today. She's an asset to any project she takes on and will surely continue to grow professionally as she continues her dream in the restaurant and hospitality industry. So now we will begin with some questions. We're just going to say the numbers. We might go out of order, so I don't want her to keep repeating because the questions might be a little bit similar. And she's just going to kind of dissect of how she manages here at Aspire.
Okay, so we're going to start the questions now. So whoever has question one.
Take us back to when you first started at Aspire. Could you tell us about your previous positions and where you are today in the chain of command?
I started out as a server, and that was not only on the restaurant floor, but also during banquets. We do weddings here, we do private parties in our dining room. So I would be bridal attendant, I would serve normal floor, I was also a bartender. And from there, I became the head server, and that led to me taking a little bit more responsibility. Instead of just being bridal attendant, I would coordinate the expoing of the food for the banquet, or I would lead my servers with side work and stuff like that. And eventually, that led me up to becoming the assistant food and beverage manager at the restaurant.
Okay, question two.
What areas are within your sphere of responsibility in your current position, and how do you make sure that you know what is happening, such as problems and changes?
I help do payroll. I help do some of the HR side of it in the restaurant in terms of filling out the paperwork for new hires and ensuring that everything we have on them is up to date. I do some scheduling. And scheduling isn't just sending out the schedule once a week, it's, looking at what we have on the books and, calling out if necessary and making sure we keep our labor costs, where they need to be. I also, ensure that the standards on the floor are kept up. Side work is done, my servers are, it
for this current year for Aspire seasonal?
Right now, we're kind of in our banquet season and our theater season, so when there's a show at PPAC, we do a 3-course theater menu. And then, it's the winter time, so it's a little bit slow everywhere right now. But in the spring, we're looking forward to opening back up for lunch, and we have a patio outside that has just gotten great popularity, so we're gonna keep growing with that and do live music outside, and we're looking forward to a really good busy season this year.
Question 4.
How do you describe your management style?
I don't want to be that person that says that, like, I try to be friends with my servers, but connecting with them is definitely important. I don't want to be seen as the big bad boss. I want them to know that if they have an issue or an idea or a concern, that they can come to me. And I think being fair is very important too. You never want to make someone feel like they're being targeted or, like they're not as valued as another employee. So I try to always make sure that I'm very fair, and I think when it comes to, a server, messing something up, I tend to be the one that they feel bad because they disappointed me, like a parent, which is, I think, can be very effective as opposed to just yelling at them and getting angry.
Question 5.
Describe your approach to making decisions on problems. Why do you do it this way?
There's kind of 2 different types of problems working in the restaurant. There's the one that hits you in the middle of a rush and there's no option but to find a solution right then and there. And then there's the kind where you actually have time to think it out. A lot of it is just instinct. It's figuring out what the solution is, the fastest way to get there, and whether or not it'll make the guest happy. And you just have to sit there and look at the options and just fly with it. And being able to make decisions on the fly like that is, really what makes it work being a manager on the floor.
Question 6.
How useful have you found written procedures and guidelines in helping you manage your area?
Incredibly useful. When I first got hired, I remade our entire new hire training program, and it really helps to have the training program written down, because you can hold servers accountable when they start slacking off or when they're not doing something to our standards. And at Hotel Providence, we just recently received our AAA Port Diamond status rating, and we worked really hard for it. We went through Forbes training and everything for it. So keeping up those service standards is incredibly important. And being able to hold servers accountable makes it a lot easier, even if it's just a new policy that gets posted on a bulletin board. It eliminates the excuse of, oh, I didn't know, nobody told me, which seems to be the leading one that you hear most of the time.
Question 7.
How much leeway do you give your employees to make decisions, and how do you still maintain control?
I think it really depends upon their strengths and weaknesses. When my servers are running a smaller event, where it's just 2 or 3 staff members, I like to give them the lead and let them decide amongst themselves, who's going to do what job, and figure it out from there. And then I just kind of supervise the whole situation to make sure that everybody's being fair. But sometimes on like bigger events like weddings, where you have 10 staff members all working at the same time, it needs to be coordinated a little bit more, and everybody needs to have a job and know what they're doing. So that's when I step in and I say, give them the list and tell them where they all need to be, and I take over expo and stuff like that.
Question 8.
In your own words, how would you just define customer service?
I think making a memory. I don't want Aspire to just be somewhere where people came to eat dinner. I want it to be somewhere where, they had that special event, they had that wedding, they had, that anniversary dinner, or that date with, the woman that they ended up marrying. And I want them to have that memory, not look back and say like, oh, well, I remember that my food wasn't good, or I remember that my server didn't know anything. I want them to look back and focus on, the good parts of it and the experience, not so much, the restaurant.
Question 9.
Suppose there was a very unhappy customer that ordered his or her steak well done and it came out rare. What steps would you take as the assistant manager to solve this guest issue?
The very first step in a situation like that, which I think all my servers know, is just tell the kitchen. They need to know, because it can't get fixed if the kitchen isn't working on it. And then after that, you you kind of have to assess the damage before you start damage control, see how mad the customer is, you know, find out if they're really upset, if they're understanding, and from there you kind of know how to approach the situation. If I have a guest that, you know, is super understanding and is like, no, it's not a big deal, then I'm gonna handle them a little bit differently than the one that, you know, started screaming at my server about it. So it's really on a case-by-case basis.
Question 10.
Can you provide us an example of a time you went above and beyond in your job to overcome either a guest or staff problem and how you solved the issue?
I think there's a couple situations where I could give you, you know, food getting messed up in the kitchen, you know, a guest that's unhappy with the timing of a wedding party, and especially on weddings, it's very sensitive because not only do you have the bride and the groom who it's their special day, but you also have the parents that are usually paying for it. So you sometimes get stuck in the middle of helping, you know, you want to help both sides and do what they both want, and sometimes it's, you know, just sitting there and doing everything. You know, I've had brides that get mad at me because the dinner isn't coming out fast enough, and the father is telling me, you know, my guests are too rushed, and you just smile and nod, and then you go, I'll fix it. So it really, it's really hard to pick one situation for that one.
Question 11.
What are some of your advertising and marketing strategies that have helped bring more attention to the restaurant to create that appeal to potential customers?
One of the things that we do is we're paired up with PPAC. We have a 3-course theater menu whenever there's a show at PPAC, and any subscribers to the Providence Performing Arts Center receive information on that in their packet. We also offer free ballet during the show, which brings in a lot of guests, and we have discounted rooms for PPAC subscribers, so that brings in the majority of the crowd on a show night. And then social media is just, you can't live without it in this day and age. You know, people don't sit there and, you know, read up on reviews on a restaurant in the newspaper anymore. They go to TripAdvisor, they go to Facebook, they look at the comments, they look at the pictures, and, you know, they see a dish that they like and they go, oh, I like that. You know, they see pictures of, you know, a crowd, you know, at live music entertainment that we do, and they say, you know, why don't we try there next Friday? But sometimes it's more subtle things, like even just in the summertime when we're open for lunch, having the table set with plates and silverware and, you know, menus makes somebody walk by and go, oh, why don't we go eat there? Not just like, oh, look at the pretty patio with the tables. So it's, you know, you have to look at it from all angles, not just the people that are out of your reach, but also the ones that are walking by, you know, that are going to come in off the